You ever have one of those days at your day job and you're like, God, I would like willingly suck a dick not to have to go to work the next day.
Yep, that was how many of those days were. And you look at those guys sucking dick, and you're like, man, that guy's alive.
Yeah. That guy with chugging cock right now, man, he doesn't have to go to work the next day. He's got.
Oh my God, he's living the dream. I mean, dude, one dick and $200. Oh my God.
Yeah. Shit. I mean, look. That's Castro's not that far away from me. Maybe I should really consider that. You know, it's one of those things where it's like. I'm kind of realizing all my jobs like that I'm pretty good at. Like I'm pretty good at like, you know, I was pretty good at working in a kitchen. I'm pretty good at the whole tourism thing I'm doing now. But it's one of those things like, you know what, like maybe it's just like,
it just keeps leading up like, you know, I'm pretty good at this, and then it's like, you know, I think I could be pretty good at sucking some dick.
Yeah, I think I probably could. You know, I feel like I could. I'm not saying I want to. It's just one of those things like, you know what, things I don't really want to do, I tend to be pretty good at. So who knows? Maybe I should. Like, it's like, you know, that's like the other job. Just kind of like, you know, you hear like, you know what, I always wanted to become a rock star, but you know, I got into programming and I'm good at it. It's a steady paycheck. You know, it's one of those things. Well, you know what, I always want to become a comic book writer, but I found I'm really good at sucking dick, and that actually pays the bills pretty well. So, you know.
Well, that's okay. You be walking down the street, and people be like, easy money, what's up? Yeah, that's me, you know. Do it. Live the dream, I tell you.
How are your teeth so white? Oh, let me tell you.
Boy, is that a trade secret.
Studio audience laugh track.
Ryan Dunigan, living the dream, sucking dick. Every Monday night.
Fucking picture me with like a fucking little bit of white shit coming off the side of my lip.
Just drill it down, yeah. It's like, he's manning the glory holes like you wouldn't believe.
Now, this is the thing where it's like once in a while, not too frequently, but maybe like 2 or 3 times a year, I might get a text from one of my parents saying, oh, I actually listened to that one episode. And this might be that episode they just might roll on to.
And they're just like, oh my God, he's borderline. It's like he's getting close to being suicidal, except for he's going to suck the dick. I don't know what's worse, him being suicidal or him sucking the dick.
I think my mom would be like, why? How'd this happen? My dad like, I saw it coming.
I knew he'd fucking cower down to that level.
Yeah. Told him he should have got back to school, but no, he started sucking dick. I knew it was going to happen.
Okay, son, you got 2 choices. You can go back to school or you can suck dick. There's nothing in between.
Same thing my dad told me. Guess what I chose? Like, yeah, I can get it. I went back to school. So,
guess what? I actually chose suck dick, and look where I got. Go to school, goddammit. Go to school.
Oh, Daddy just learned something new. Okay, cool.
Also, that's the one where, like, you know, the first time audience turns in and be like, huh, you know, my buddies at school told me that this Old Man Orange was pretty funny. And just be like, guess what?
Thing, yeah. I could literally see that happening. Like, maybe just somebody saying, like, yeah, you know what? My friend told me to check the show out, so I'm gonna do it. I mean, it's not a huge show. They got a fan basis, but you know, I'm curious. Turn it in like, dude, I would so suck a dick right now not to fucking be here there tomorrow.
Well, I was just right before we were going on the show. I was looking at some comments on I don't think it was on our show, but it still involved our podcast and stuff. And it was coming from the Rubber Onion guys, and they were, or Stephen Brooks, the main guy, and he's all like, yeah, I was listening to some of your shows on the way to work and stuff. He's like, podcast buddies. It's like, yeah, it's like, if you listen to this, would be like, oh yeah, guess what? The dick sucking podcast. Like, I could just picture someone sitting in a car with their 4 friends. Like, they're really funny guys. I mean, I know if you're not in the dick sucking part, let's just get past that part. Maybe they do. I mean, they're on the West Coast. Who knows? That could be all a possibility.
I do notice that whenever we do have someone say, oh yeah, just check this show out, and somebody we know, like, check out our show, just this one uploaded, for whatever reason, it's always some episode where it opens up on, like, if there's one Batman whose dick you could suck, who would it be? Oh, I think it would be George Clooney. I mean, he's not my favorite Batman, but I think he'd be the best. It's always like it's like with the random one people land on, it's always the gayest one, and that's just like one out of every, like, I don't know, 20, you know, maybe like, that's probably more than most people, like 1 in every 20 out of like, what, 200 something, we open up like, oh, dick sucking. Hasn't happened yet, but we'll see.
And see, the thing is, I've heard that multiple times. I've heard people check out our show. Like, yeah, I checked it out. I listened to that Tom Morello podcast you had. Pretty good episode. I'm not too sure about the whole beginning where you just would say you'd suck his dick.
That's somehow escalated of sucking Batman's dick or something.
But speaking of, here's some fun stuff. Speaking of, if you like dick sucking your podcast, but
okay, cool.
We are in the top 500 of Podomatic. Oh. And we were in the top 25 in comedy on Podomatic as well, too. I was kind of happy with seeing those numbers.
Yay, yay.
So, sucking dick get you somewhere, kids. Remember that.
Yeah. Will they or won't they? Yeah.
Don't deny the glory hole job. When you see that come up on Craigslist, you know that that's a real man's position. Believe me, you don't want to go out and fucking work out in some kind of blue-collar job. That's your choice, goddammit.
Hashtag glory hole, yes.
But no, I was kind of happy there. And you know what's the other thing? This is I don't want to be podcast bragging, but I guess that's really what it is. When you look at fucking,
we gotta do something to boost up our self-esteem after the first 5 minutes or so has just been me talking about maybe I'll suck a dick tomorrow to get out of work. We'll see what happens. We really need something okay, maybe there's a reason why they're kind of hanging around.
Here's a reason. This is something I like. Now, this is on kind of a weird place, but, I kind of started uploading the podcast on Newgrounds about, I don't know, maybe 5-6 months ago or so. So I just kind of continually, at first I was just kind of uploading certain episodes. I'm like, maybe I'll just upload kind of ones we do a retrospect or a commentary, something that, will have a lasting appeal. After a while, I was like, fuck it, I'm uploading every single one from this point on. So I just keep uploading and whatnot. And we get, actually a pretty good turnout on there. I mean, some episodes, they mostly go anywhere from an extra 100 plus to 1,000 or so, not views, but technically listens. But this is my favorite thing. If you click on the podcast section in Newgrounds, our podcast takes up 90% of the real estate on the first page. I kid you not. It's all of our episodes. And I don't know why that is exactly. And then there'll be a couple other guys, pocketed in there. Rubber Onion, I'll see their ones in there and stuff like that. I don't know if there's just not that many podcasts on Newgrounds or what, or if we're just supplying the whole thing.
Well, that's good to know. I really gotta listen to the Rubber Onion podcast. I mean, I'll watch the animation battles on Instagram and whatnot because I know you always contribute to those each month. So I'll watch yours and I'll watch a couple of the opponents, and they're always pretty good. But I actually need to start listening to the show because it sounds like a pretty good, informative show. But yeah, that's good to know that we're at least cornering the Newgrounds market, which. The thing about Newgrounds, as soon as you get, actually Game Grumps just put out a podcast basically called Before Grumps where they all interview each other, and it's kind of what their lives were before they did Game Grumps. And some of the people on there, like Aaron or Ross, been on Newgrounds, talk about, oh my god, Newgrounds. Thing is, once you get popular on Newgrounds, you get so much fucking hate because you got so many people that should be me. And I'm not saying that we're so awesome. I'm not saying we're anywhere as good as Ego Raptor or Rubber Ninja, but I mean, the second you start to get a little popularity on that channel, people start to just fucking try to burn you down. Apparently.
Well, I'm really surprised we haven't yet on the podcast because we've never gotten that enough love off the video section. No, it's not too bad there, but the podcast section, I mean, we're raping that area for some reason. So there's gotta be somebody else's podcast. Hey, why is my podcast got pushed off page number 1? And why is there fucking 30 episodes of this old man orange cock sucking faggot podcast?
Yeah.
I listened to one of their episodes. Yeah, I tuned in the one. Guess what the first 10 minutes was about?
Sucking dick.
Sucking dick.
Not a shock.
Yeah, not a shock there. I mean, come on. I mean, I got a friend that sucks dick. I'm not against gay people or anything, but they're a bunch of fucking faggots is what I tell you. It's just he's contradicting himself the whole time. I don't hate gay people. I just hate the Old Man Orange podcast. Anybody that sucks dick for a living.
I have this. It's been long enough by this point. I have this one. He shall remain nameless, but I have this one. Since we're on the topic of dick sucking, I have this one boss, and just bear with me where this is going. I had this one boss who worked at my current job, and everyone hated this guy. This guy was just a total fucking prick, just an asshole, just condescending, just micromanaging every little thing. Not one person in the company liked him. People liked him at first, and then, as time went on, though, everyone just one by one, fuck that guy. Just by happenstance, the guy happened to be, the guy was actually ex-military and happened to be gay. And he was also one of the things about him he was just very the thing about him is he actually was a male escort on the side. He was in some days he would just disappear for like an hour or two, and then someone brought to light like, hey, look what his side job is. Doesn't that look familiar? And that got me thinking, if you had someone that was literally like sucking dick for a living by choice, not like, oh my god, the times are so hard, but more like,
spare a nickel, Billy, spare a nickel.
But you think, but if somebody was just like, yeah, I suck a dick for a living, you think that would be the most chill, most relaxed person in the world. You're like, hey man, you're 10 minutes late, not a big deal. Just, get some coffee, come back, get to work, right on. You think it'll be like that, but no, not the case.
Yeah, he's like, don't worry about it, guys, I got it. He's like throwing ones all over the place. He's like, I just made a killing on my last job, $500. 10 minutes of work. You can't beat that life.
You think someone who did that would be the most chill fucking person? No, not the case. Not the case. Surprisingly, the most tight-ass person I've ever met. So, yeah.
Well, probably tight-ass because...
Yeah, that was a pun. Sort of a pun right there. Metaphorically tight-ass.
So what you're saying is the male prostitute is not as glorious as we once all thought it was.
Well, I was sure if we all thought it was so glamorous in the first place.
Okay, well, let's just say it wasn't like movie glamorous.
It's not like the fucking chick from Firefly or whatever. The one time I thought like they made prostitution seem like, it seems kind of chill and kind of elegant. They're firing bow and arrows, going into space, fucking people.
No, it's more like fucking what's that movie that's got damn it, trying to blank 70s.
A lot of 70s.
Yeah, the early 70s. It's late, so now I'm drawing blanks.
It came out in the 70s or takes place in the 70s?
It came out like in 1970, 71. It's about a male prostitute guy, goes to New York. It's got what's his name from The Graduate in it. He's not the male prostitute.
Is he the pimp or something?
No, he's just like a guy he ends up like living with and stuff like that. Fuck, what's his name? Dennis. Wait. God, this is just like... We were on such a good roll, and then my brain just like...
Okay, so I'm guessing it's the male prostitute movie starring Dustin Hoffman, but he's not the sucker.
No, he's the other guy. He's the guy who's like, I'm fucking walking here as he goes across in New York. But God, I can't think of what his name is. Well, whatever. It'll come to me in about 20 minutes.
But that movie makes it look glamorous and like shiny and all that.
Yeah, Dustin Hoffman's in it. Yeah, Dustin Hoffman. It's fucking God, I can't think of what it is.
It's all good. What is it like? Basically, just kind of like this is what it leads to, kind of like a less than zero type of thing, or is it? Like...
Yeah, well, he shows up to New York. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna make it big. I'm gonna be a this male escort guy, but not for like other dudes, but for like women and stuff like that. And at first, it's like it kind of goes, but then he's kind of in a shitty apartment, and things aren't going well. And Dustin Hoffman takes him in and everything like that. And Dustin Hoffman lives in like the fucking shit of like 70s New York or whatnot. And nobody really seems to like this guy or anything like that. He's just kind of short and annoying and everything like that. And people like aren't really his friends or anything. And then throughout the movie, he ends up like having some kind of disease and dying, and it gets sad and whatnot. Really fucking good movie, but I just cannot think.
Not Philadelphia, because that was like late 80s, right? Philadelphia was like late 80s.
No, it's not Philadelphia.
I think Philadelphia was late 80s. And then some guy. Oh yeah, Tom Hanks. I'm not just putting this together.
Well, it's a big actor, not maybe Tom Hanks big, but still big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, on something else, probably something more of our wheelhouse and we have a little bit of knowledge of. Did you play the Telltale Band game?
I finally did, which I thought it was going to be like, oh, well, sweet, we'll have the episode 2 to talk about next week. And then I look it up, it's like, oh, they're going to come out like each month.
Really? Motherfucker.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of pissed, too. First Telltale one was fucking badass. At first I was just going to get the disc because it was coming out later on. I assumed that all the episodes would be released by the time the disc version came out. Clearly not the case, I guess.
Well, you know what? I thought I wouldn't like that, but I actually found myself liking that more than I thought I would, just because all the Batman stuff is just basically quick time events, where all the Bruce Wayne stuff is mostly the decisions and whatnot. And that's actually kind of the interesting part. And I'll say this, like in the concept of a game, it's just kind of whatever, it's fun, but it's in the concept of a story. It's an interesting way to go about telling the Batman origin story, which we've all seen 1,000 times, but it's been a lot of characters in there. I've heard like a lot of people complain about the way Payne was portrayed with something a little different. It's kind of like, he reminded me of Russell Brand, or very much like a Guy Ritchie kind of character.
Well, that, and it's what it reminded me kind of what they did is they sort of combined sort of Penguin from Gotham with Penguin and his Britishness, but made him almost kind of punk rocker, almost kind of John Constantine. That's what I was really kind of almost getting out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But really quickly before we go any farther, it's Midnight Cowboy, and it's got Jon Voight in it.
Oh, wait, Jon Voight, really?
Yeah, Jon Voight is like this young, hot guy who's like, yeah, I'm gonna go in there and bang ladies for money. It's gonna be the best job ever. And then it really doesn't pan out that way.
I have trouble imagining him being kind of like the young, trim, good-looking guy. Like I've always seen him as the short, like fat general in like any Michael Bay movie or something like that. You know what I mean? He's almost used to seeing being that guy, or the ex-military guy or something. Is imagining him as like, like, oh, he was a good look. I'm sure that people could say, look at his fucking filmography, you asshole. I'm like, oh, okay, but just
no, he's like Brad Pitt back in those days. I kid you not.
Really?
Like it throws you off because that's what I was used to for the longest time when I saw this movie like 6 years ago or something like that. I was like, oh yeah, and I was like, oh, Jon Voight. Oh, whoa, that. I guess I'm just not used to this nearly as much.
It confused me seeing Christopher Walken young in Deer Hunter. Seeing him young was like, what the fuck? This ain't because even Clint Eastwood, even when he was young, he still looks like Clint Eastwood. He doesn't, he looks like he was like almost like sculpted out of like a piece of driftwood, and he's just like always angry and always squinting, So
well, Clint Eastwood being young, it's actually kind of hard to get Clint Eastwood young because even in like the movies we think of as his really early days ones, like A Fistful of Dollars,
still like pushing 41 or something like that.
Yeah, he's 36, I think, in that one. So you got to go back to like Rawhide and Tarantula and all those like early Clint Eastwood stuff to really see him at youth.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
then you got black and white kind of covering it up, so it's always a little bit different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but even when he was like at his prime, like all the stuff we mainly think of as, like you said, probably like mid 30s to early 40s primarily. So, but yeah, I mean, I might have to watch Midnight Rider, if not Midnight Cowboy. A, see what a young Jon Voight looks like. B, possible tips for what I might have to do in the future. But going back
it's a good movie. It's just movie,
yeah.
You got to be in the right mood for it because it's a heavy drama, but it's good.
Oh, we're talking like Paul Thomas Anderson drama, like you might walk out of this feeling very bleak, or like
yeah. I would say that's a good example of a modern version of kind of what this is. It's like 70s bleak though. It's that kind. In the 70s where like you walk out of theater and go, oh my. Well, you don't. I didn't walk out of theater. I walk out of my living room going like, oh my gosh, what the fuck? Like that's how that ends. Just like that. That's it. Calling it a day. One of those kind of endings.
Well, I guess it was probably either early 70s, maybe late 60s. I think it was late 60s. Wasn't Bonnie and Clyde just basically end like the car gets shot up, just like looking at it, they're all just staring at it. Credits.
Yep, that's exactly. And I think that's the same year as this movie. I think it's 69. And that's the same thing with like Easy Rider. You know what I mean? It's like drive by, they do one pass, come back again, shoot them, boom, fucking camera pans out in the sky. That's it.
Shaky
that's what life
explosion.
was. Yeah. That's how life was. It was fucking shit when things went down. It was all great until some fucking rednecks show up and take away your goddamn freedom.
Take away your Dennis Hopper and your Peter Fonda.
Yeah, and take away your Jack Nicholson halfway through the movie.
I think that was before he was the Jack Nicholson. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it was just like, because that was one of those things like, when the off Jack? Oh, right, this is early on. So, but even there, those.
But speaking of something Jack Nicholson related, not really, but it kind of leads into it. But back to our Batman Telltale, I guess.
But yeah, Telltale. I mean, I do like what they. I did like the game. I did like the story because you've seen Batman's like, because it's not like talking totally. I mean, you do have the whole thing like, my parents were killed in a back alley, and they feel the need to bring that up in conversation like several times, like more frequently than anybody would be. It's like the part when you go to when you're at the Harvey Dent event, which that's gonna end well. But when you're at the Harvey Dent like event and you talk to two old like whitest old people ever,
crusty fucks,
and they're just like so yuppie and just like, this city used to mean something. We're with you, Bruce. Just like, no way these people aren't part of the Court of Owls or don't like have some involvement to Carmine Falcone or some shit. You know what I mean? No way these guys.
Oh, exactly.
Because they're there. I'm like, we don't like this, Bruce. We don't, but we trust your family. It sucks they died and you were shot right in front of them. They were shot right in front of you. That's gotta fucking suck. man, how's that feel? They just, like, go to your options, like, oh, not good, or the movie was good at least. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I really wanted to see The Mask of Zorro, so fuck you. Fuck you, you stupid old cunt. Just throws his shit at.
Well, we support you, Bruce.
I wish they made like some really dick, like in some games you get like total dick options. I think like Mass Effect, you get these ones where you could just be the total dick throughout the entire game. You could get people to fucking kill themselves in it. Like I'd be awesome if almost there was just total dick options of Batman. There's like slight dick ones in there, but I mean like full on, like where Bruce Wayne just looks like the worst guy ever. Like he's almost like fucking Justin Bieber, where he just like starts punching people and pulling down his pants and shit. Like just a horrible person.
Like it's like you're interrogating the guy. Option: punch him in the gut, break his arm, drag your balls across his forehead.
Yeah, exactly. I just wish there was that one weird, like almost like the drunk Batman option in there.
I feel like the whole game, it's like I do feel like that the between the, because it's you usually always have 3 responses or silence, and I'm just going to just played the whole game.
That's silent.
Just okay, Bruce. What do you think? Just him standing there for like 5 seconds, then like, all right, quiet time, and then it just goes to the automated responses after that. Then just I'd like to play the game at some point, just no responses, just see how it all pans out. Why do you do this? Just like, okay, But,
I know. I kind of thought that too. I'm like, why is the mute one on there every single time? Is that I'm like, either that makes the story way better, and we just don't know about it, or that is just like a lazy like 4th option. I'm not too sure.
Well, I will say that I feel like the game kind of bounces between 3 different options, and that is basically one between the personalities. I think one personality is probably best way to put it, not the most recent Batman movie, but movie Batman, where, I mean, I know other movie Batmans have killed, but more to the degree of kind of like, I mean,
Punisher Batman?
Not Punisher Batman, but remove the killing aspect. I think that all other movie Batmans seem almost kind of Boy Scoutish if you remove the killing aspect from like from the Tim Burton ones. I mean, not Batman v Superman, but I'm just talking Burton, Shoemaker
to Nolan.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan. They almost seem kind of Boy Scoutish to an extent. I mean, I think Nolan one stands a little bit more, but they all seem somewhat Boy Scoutish minus the killing. Where I think the middle one is more probably Kevin Conroy Batman, which is a little bit more of he's a little bit more of an asshole, but he is doing it for the right reasons. Third one, angry Frank Miller Batman. Just fuck you, don't give a shit, fuck off. I'm gonna like not kill Carmine Falcone, but throw him down on this rusted steel thing, whatever, and let him like get impaled for a minute.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's about kind of a 3, and then there's the random silent one, which God knows what, because I don't know anybody who's picked that one so far, even though I haven't talked to that many people about it, but maybe that one is the sweet, awesome, silent Batman one. All this funny shit happens because of it, but I'm not too sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like the game. I'm looking for the next one. I think they know since it's Batman, they could like just span that shit out. I will say, I mean, I heard the game was gonna be rated M, but they really are making use of that M rating. I mean, probably more so than Dark Knight, Batman Arkham Knight or something.
Well, it's kind of nice to see that. Like, it makes me happy every single time I keep seeing more and more. In a sense, this is the 4th R-rated Batman thing we've kind of got, this including like comic books. But it's like we get Arkham Knight. We get Batman v Superman, we get Killing Joke, and now we get this. And it's just, by having those 4 like all in a row, it's just saying that like, okay, that they're not just doing that like a fluke one, like, okay, we threw out an R-rated or an M-rated Batman game. Okay, let's just see how that goes, and maybe we'll just go back to teen from that point on. It's like, no, Batman is an adult thing. You know what I mean? We're gonna treat it like he's fucking the Matrix, and he's like Rambo, and he's like Gears of War. I don't know why I'm going to all these like manly like gun shooting things, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know
like,
what you mean.
They're treating it like he's a serious character. He isn't a family friendly character, even though he technically still is. But you know what I mean. Like, I think the mature rating. It's not the fact that they're making it like there's going to be blood and guts and all this kind of stuff like that. It's like it's almost more like in a Metal Gear Solid way, where it's like no, it's more mature because it's a serious storyline more than anything else. Yeah, there might be a couple fucked up things here and there, but for the most part, that's what it's about. It's about a mature storyline, not necessarily just a fun romp kind of thing.
I really like the way they handled the whole spoilers ahead, folks. I really like the way they handle the whole Bruce Wayne, Selena Kyle dynamic when they bump into each other at the coffee shop. Like, because they have that whole part where they fight each other. He punches her in the face. She has a black eye, and she scratches his face. He has 3 little marks across his face. Then they bump into each other over at like a coffee shop while meeting Harvey Dent, and it's just like, oh hey, like nice to meet you. I'm like, I think we met before, and just very subtle, and it's not this whole. I mean, maybe given your options, what you choose. I'm glad it wasn't all like please don't tell, or like, oh, I'll fucking kill you if you tell anybody, but or like but I like that it was actually kind of very subtle, just like what I got to do. Well, I don't know, how can I help, or you know what I mean. It was I just like the subtlety of it, how it wasn't so big and bombastic. So that's who you really are, you know.
Well, I like how they got it wasn't like someone had to play dumb for so long, because sometimes it's that sort of thing you see kind of in older Superman stuff where it's like Lois Lane still doesn't know. It's like that makes Superman just like a giant dick, because it's like he doesn't tell her. It's like, I'll show you my dick, but I won't fucking tell you who I am. One of those things. So I like how it's like boom, they get it across right away. It's like we know each other, but we don't have a reason to expose each other's secrets, and who knows, that might come back later on, because you got kind of. This story almost feels like one of those ones. It has sort of that almost like an outsider Batman feel, kind of like how the movies do, where somebody else is like, well, okay, I've known what Batman is throughout life. I've read some comics, seen the movies, maybe a handful of the episodes, everything that. Not a humongous Batman expert, but I do know it well enough to kind of make this story together.
Mm-hmm.
And because that's how it's felt. I mean, you almost have to have some of these things like that for almost the audience that, they know who Batman is, but they're not experts on it. And I understand, that's kind of how it is. You can't always have all these deep Batman cuts too often. But for the most part, I thought that the way it went, it's different enough so that it feels kind of original if you're, like us and you've seen copious amounts of Batman pictures and footage throughout time. And then it's easy enough for someone to kind of come in who maybe didn't know a whole lot about Batman and be able to jump into the story and kind of carry on.
Mm-hmm. I will say that it is kind of interesting how it takes just one movie to suddenly turn, and one movie and a TV show technically, to turn one such a miscellaneous character into a staple of, if we're gonna have Batman fight an early crime boss, Carmine Falcone, because now it's he was in Batman Begins, and oh wow, that's a deep cut, that's a real deep cut. And then then you watch Gotham, all right, well, he's kind of the
villain. He's the main character.
He's kind of like the villain of Gotham to a certain extent. So okay, we'll use him. Now it's that point where he's kind of a common Batman villain now, and it's from a bit part in a Frank Miller story, and then being not exactly the main villain, but at least the centerpiece of Jeff Loeb's Long Halloween. So that's kind of interesting right there, how.
Yeah, no, it is, because you could almost ask somebody on the street, as long as they watch Gotham and stuff like that. They're going to know who Carmine Falcone is, because he's a huge character in fucking Batman, or in Gotham.
Yeah, and I think that even in, what was it, in, I think it was Batman Origins, Arkham Origins, maybe it was Arkham Knight, but I'm pretty sure it's Arkham Origins. You have to save Alberto Falcone, his son. It's on some mission, which is you have to save him? You have to save Holiday? Wow, that's kind of a weird one, So I'm wondering if they're ever going to bring in, they made references to Calendar Man, Julian Day, and wonder if they're going to bring references back to just the weird. I don't know. There was it Sophia Falcone, which was the lady, his big ass.
Fatter lady.
She was a big, tall lady who was really strong.
Burly.
And she had she at some point she was shot in the head, but then I think she was still alive. No. She was pretending to be paraplegic. Yeah, she was pretending to be paraplegic, and she had no hair, and she just got into a big ass fucking brawl with Batman, and she could hold her own. So kind of wonder if they ever bring her in, chances are she's gonna be some young hot chick who knows kung fu or some shit. But I wouldn't mind seeing just some big ass brawler chick fucking beat the fuck out of Batman.
Well, that's really I hopefully hope that one of the next DCU movies they do when they adapt the comic book, I think is it's okay, they've done Killing Joke, they've done Dark Knight Returns, they've done Year One. It's what they really need to do is they got to do the Long Halloween. I think that and Hush are the two that I would love to see an adaptation. And I mean, I know those are both kind of longer books. I think they're 13 issues each. And I think one, you could minus it down into an hour and a half one. It'd be really cool if they did a part 1, part 2, like they did the Dark Knight Returns. I don't know if those books are popular enough to kind of do that like the Dark Knight Returns was. But I would take the simplified version, because, you could simplify, both those ones down and just have them, because those are just some of the best. my top 5 recommendation of books. Hush being probably almost my favorite Batman book.
Batman Hush was the first Batman book I read. Then Long Halloween wasn't too far behind that, and
it just sounds funny. It's like Batman Hush was the first one I read. They've never been nearly as good since then.
I wouldn't say that was just a hell of an opening, just because what happened. I've said this before, but I mean, said it like way early on the podcast, and I'll just make it real quick. What essentially got me into comics, I always liked Batman as a kid, but when I got a little older, you know, just not so much like, oh, this is kid shit, but I just kind of stopped watching it. It was more of like,
and anime took over. That's the thing we always kind of forget, because I realized that's the reason why I kind of stopped watching a lot of American cartoons and stuff. It was because anime took over, and that was looked upon as being more adult.
Some part, yeah. Now it's ironic that I like more American animation than I like anime now. But even though Cowboy Bebop's still one of my favorite shows, in the long run, I think I really do like more American stuff than I do Japanese stuff by this point. Even though there still is a lot of Japanese shit I love. But anyway, I was reading. I was basically, I didn't read comics for a while because you know, when you're a kid, you would watch X-Men or you'd watch Spider-Man or you'd watch Batman, and then the one time you're like, you know what, maybe I'll get into comics. You just grab a random book off the shelf, and for me, whatever it is, was always my luck. I'd open a book where, whether it was an Elseworlds book or something else, some character I loved was getting brutally murdered. And it was always kind of like, oh, fuck, no. And it almost kind of like killed the show for me. Now you realize, oh, they'll just bring him back in a few issues. Or it was an Elseworld, or whatever, you know?
And as a kid, you couldn't comprehend that.
You couldn't comprehend it. And like, oh my God, Superman died? You know, like that kind of shit. Now it's just like, yeah, he fucking died. Of course they're going to fucking bring him back. But when you're a kid, it's like, you know, the Captain America thing. People are all like losing their shit. Like, Captain America's a fucking Nazi. It's just like, you honestly think they're going to fucking keep that shit? They're going to like, it's going to be some Elseworld shit or something they're going to swipe aside from the next issue or down the line. And then sure enough, I didn't read the fucking book, but everybody said like, yeah, they debunked that one in the next issue. It was a plot device, just like I fucking figured it would be.
It wasn't really a plot device. It was called a selling device.
It's a selling point.
Yeah, that was
like
that.
That's what the writers call it.
I mean, I literally almost bought that. After you told me that, I almost bought that Captain America issue, and the only thing that turned me off from it is I looked at it, it was $4.99. I was like, well, fuck this. I'm not paying $4.99. Like, bro, that's some fucking bullshit. Sometimes Marvel, I look at that and go, fuck you. I'm not paying $5 for the same size book as everybody else.
DC does the same thing, though. They'll have...
Theirs are normally $3.99, but sometimes they're only $2.99.
I bet it was because Civil War just came out, so like, you know, we could sell some fucking shit off this. You know, people...
Well, I noticed that like they'll make Iron Man and Captain America really expensive because the only two... I only get 2 Marvel ones right now just normally, and it's just X-Men 92, and the book is just called Spidey. And those ones are only $3.99. It sounds so weird. That extra dollar kind of would almost stop me from buying them if that was the case.
I'm still the trade paperback guy, but no, I get where you're coming from. But anyway though, what was I saying? No, so yeah. Anyway, I got into Batman just because I always loved it as a kid. Then I just got older and I wasn't watching the cartoons as much and all that. I watched all the original series, and then I went to see Batman Begins. It reminded me why I liked it. And I was going on a train ride, a really long train trip the next day all the way to Oregon. So I was like, I'll buy some books to read along the way. So I just picked up some Ultimate Spider-Man, picked up some Batman Hush, and I just got fucking sucked into that book. And it was just kind of reminding me why I liked it. And from there on in, and that had to be my junior year of high school. So, and since then, that's just my favorite. Yeah.
That's what makes Batman Begins such a good thing, because that's about the exact same time too that I started going like, man, I kind of forgot how much I like Batman, because there was that like. It's my Batman. I think there's 2 reasons why I actually fell out of Batman for I would say about almost 5 years, give or take. You could almost say they happened in the 5 dark years, going back to an older podcast, because it's during about that same exact time of dark years of Pokemon. But because this is all tied together with Pokemon as well, because WB on satellite TV was taken off, so I couldn't watch any more I think I only got the first season of Superman, and I couldn't watch I must have been able to finish Batman, but I couldn't watch any more Batman Begins. I only got the first season of Batman Beyond, and then Pokemon all went away. And I think by just taking that out, it sounds like such a weird thing, but I couldn't watch it anymore, so you just kind of, it's almost like you start forgetting fucking like Freddy or something like that, and then you just end up fucking watching other shit like Monster Rancher and...
I fucking forgot about Monster Rancher, the PlayStation Pokemon shit. I fucking forgot about that
We
shit.
talked about it only like 3 weeks
I
ago.
know,
on the
but I already
podcast.
fucking forgot about it. I don't know how Monster Rancher came up in the first place when I brought that up, but I was just like, they even had the Monster Rancher rap. The whole gimmick was grab any CD, put it into the PlayStation at this time, and it's gonna give you a fucking like monster. And depending on the programming of the of whatever disc it is, it was gonna give you like a particular character, and some were more rare than others. And holy shit, I remember that. And there was like a weird little pink turtle platypus thing, armadillo thing. I don't know. It was called Mochi. I remember that shit. And there was like a
Yeah,
yellow eyeball,
the
little
eyeball.
yellow eyeball thing. Looked like it was out of fucking Monsters Inc. or some bullshit.
Yeah, but so in this, it sounds weird when I say that, but because here's the thing:
So I'll
the
come
reason
back
why I
to
watch
me.
things like Monster Rancher and Digimon is because those came on Fox, and I didn't lose Fox Kids. I just lost Warner Brothers, so I kind of just went to whatever the hell they had, because that's what it was back in the day. You just went to whatever that was, and then I had Cartoon Network, which had Dragon Ball Z and Gundam, and from that point on, Cowboy Bebop and blah 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 along the way. And so that's where Batman Begins comes back in. And it's like, oh, fuck, this is badass. And then they start playing fucking animated series once again back on TV and so on. And I think the DVDs and all that stuff come out. And that kind of spirals back in to kind of the Batman phase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that kind of just got me. That kind of reminded me why I liked it so much when I saw that movie. Like, oh yeah, there's a reason why I really liked all this shit in the first place. And read the book. I'm like, oh fuck, this is amazing. So, and but yeah, short and simple. Telltale Game does a good job. So curious to see where that goes. But I just can't believe they're taking that long to come out. Probably because it's Batman. They know people will wait for it.
Well, I know, because I think it's like 5 episodes or something like that. So that means it's going to take like 5 months. It's going to go to like the next year, everything. Well, I guess it'll give us like at least give us a monthly
That means
topic.
I'll be fucking. That means I'll be fucking like 30 by the time this thing comes out. That trips my fucking mind.
But speaking of other Batmans, this even ties into Batman. Did you see War Dogs?
No, I was curious. How does it tie into Batman exactly? Warner Brothers?
When you watch, well, I guess that too. But when you watch that movie, look at Jonah Hill. He would make the perfect penguin for Ben Affleck. I kid you not, though. You look at him firing that fucking AK-47, and he's got the long coat on and the glasses and the slick back hair. I'm like, dude, you add a monocle to him, he would make a great new penguin. Think about it just a little bit.
If they were to do Penguin, I honestly, because we're at the point now, I'm not trying to be one of those guys like, let's make Riddler a DJ. I'm not trying to be one of those guys. But I think that honestly, if you were to go do Penguin by this point, because animation, it's easier to get away with shit. I think he would be a good Penguin, but I think he'd almost be a good kind of like creepy kind of arms dealer. You know, almost plays himself. Maybe give him like a weird scar. He doesn't have a British accent. Doesn't have to be all aristocratian. Maybe he likes raw fish,
Well, yeah.
but maybe just kind of like I'm almost imagining Jonah Hill drugged out on heroin, trench coat, staggering in, like, hey guys, how's it going? Everyone's like, fuck, it's Oswald. Look the other fucking way. We can't tell him to fuck off because he'll kill us all. Hey, yeah, we got your table right here, you know? And I can sort of imagine that being kind of like
a funny psycho running, the Iceberg Lounge. I think he would be great at it.
Scarface, kind of. I can imagine him as kind of a Scarface.
Well, because the whole point in War Dogs, Scarface is also a central theme in that movie, because that's like his favorite movie. But you watch that now, and it's just like more and more. It's like, oh, dude, that right there. What the fuck? Pick that guy. And I know it, like some people be like, oh, he's not British, or oh, blah blah blah. It's like no,
he wasn't always British. He was more like New York aristocrat.
Yeah, that's always kind of how he is. I think he just kind of has a British accent, just like even though he's in New York and he's born and raised in New York, by living with rich people and everything like that, he just happened to get the accent because of that. That's what I think it's more from. But I just go like he doesn't need the accent. Just make him like kind of like what he is in War Dogs. Take that character and just crank it up just a little bit more on the crazy and a little bit more on the psycho. And I'm like, dude, that would be fucking perfect.
You want to know what just came to my mind? I can't believe we didn't see it earlier, but because there's already a better example of him, minus the machine gun, there's already a better example of him. Wolf of Wall Street.
Well, that's another one too. Like that's another good way to say it. And I'll say this: War Dogs. This is the reason why you got to see it. It has that same vibe as Wolf of Wall Street and Pain and Gain.
Is it because it looked like it was like tiptoeing between comedy and drama, where I'm going to say Pain and Gain and Wolf of Wall Street were more comedy. Is this one kind of still like tiptoeing between the two, or is it probably more comedy?
You could say. I mean, here's the thing: it's just like Pain and Gain and Wolf of Wall Street, where it's technically a drama movie, but they're just filled with comedy.
I don't know. I still feel like, 'cause I mean, there's definitely like
Well,
moments where it was like, all right, this is serious. We're not laughing now. But there's so much shit. Like, it's almost, all right, I guess, kind of like, I honestly think Wolf of Wall Street is more of a comedy because it's like laid out basically just for a way to get scene after scene after scene to be funny. And it just happened to like push a story along somehow in the process.
well, here's the thing. This is why I say it's drama. It has a structure of a drama movie. It just happens to have funny lines the entire way through it. That's why it, like, I mean, like, I would still categorize it in comedy almost more than anything else. But it's made as a drama movie where they just filled it with copious amounts of comedy. And that's sort of how Pain and Gain is, too. It's made as a drama movie, but it's filled with copious amounts of comedy. And War Dogs, identical. It's this drama, but then they string in comedy throughout it. And maybe, I don't know, I mean, you could nickel and dime, like, which one's funnier than the next. But I still think it was like I was busting up laughing through it. I mean, maybe it's not as extreme as Wolf of Wall Street or anything like that, but it's a really cool story, really funny throughout it. Like, I had a great time with that film.
I'll have to check that one out because I did want to see it. It's just been a busy week and all that. But yeah, no, I wouldn't mind checking that one out. But now I'm kind of wondering like who they get for like the next couple, like to bring back to comics and all that. Wondering who they would get to be all the Batman villains now, because that is a pretty interesting choice. I mean, I know that sounds kind of like so Hollywood produced, like, oh my God, Jonah Hill is the Penguin, he'd be perfect. I know that's how it comes across. And you know, they probably could get some no name guy, but I think it would be fun to see him. I mean, depending on how you do it. I mean, in all honesty, I was watching Batman v Superman the other day. I honestly think Jesse Eisenberg would have been a perfect Riddler, but you know, we got him as Lex Luthor.
Exactly. Well, here's another thing that's kind of fun. This still ties in the comic books, but the other guy, I can't remember his name, but in War Dogs, Mr. Fantastic.
No, not anymore. Yeah.
Well, no, but I mean, like, you know, in a sense, that's his comic book character from this point on until he gets something else. That guy's career, at least it spun off in this great way, though, because, like, okay, not only does he get this War Dogs movie, I saw there was a trailer for another movie that's like a boxing one where it's based on a true story, where pretty much he gets in this horrible car accident, whatever, and is close to paralyzed. And the doctor's all like, you know, we could fuse you together. You would be able to walk again. And he's like, fuck it, I can't box. I ain't fucking doing it. He's like, dude, you might die. Any wrong move, it could kill you. He's like, fuck it. I'm going to do it anyways because I got a box, man. And then next thing you know, it just shows him, like, you know, working with his buddy and everything like that, getting back together. And then all the way to a point where he's able to box once again, which I think that's a cool twist. I mean, I know it's a true story, but, like, as far as storytelling goes, it's different. Because, you know, after a while, you kind of get, like, after all the 6 Rocky movies, or 7 Rocky movies, it's kind of that point.
It's hard to do boxing.
Yeah, I mean, like, Rocky kind of did every single different direction you could do in that. So what are you going to do to make it different, you know?
That's why I liked Creed so much, because I went to go see Creed, like, well, it's a new Rocky, so yeah, I'll check it out. But I ended up liking it way more than I thought I would, because it felt different, but still felt like Rocky.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, there's some other ones you can kind of say that, you know, do something sort of different. Like, that's why I like that Marky Mark and Christian Bale one. That one felt a little bit different, too, even though when I first saw the trailer.
The Fighter?
Yeah, The Fighter. When I first saw the trailer, I'm like, whatever. And then, like, I ended up sitting down watching. I was like, oh, no, it's actually pretty cool. And I like cracked out Christian Bale jumping out windows. That's fucking badass. That's hilarious.
Wasn't as a big deal. I never even seen the movie, but wasn't the whole thing like, well, he once knocked out Sugar Ray Johnson. He didn't beat him, but he knocked him out once, which no one's ever done that before. Wasn't that the big deal?
that was like, that's like the real life story of it, is that's what he did. Yeah. In a fight, he still lost, but or whatever happened, draw, something fucking, I don't know. But yeah, he did knock him out. And then from that point on, life's kind of went downhill, but he was still a pretty optimistic person, even though he's smoking crack and living poor and everything like that. It's a good movie. Check it out if you get a chance. I enjoyed it. Plus, it's
I liked it. I like David O. Russell, so I'll probably give that one a shot. But no, yeah. Seemed like the last movie he did that wasn't like a dramatic comedy.
Yeah, even though I still found it funny. I found it funny in that weird dark way, like because Christian Bale
he's stealing his mom's TV for crack.
That's what I mean. Like, Christian Bale's pretty funny in it, so.
No, yeah, I get you. Well, that's one that you put on the list right there. No, I'm kind of wondering though. You mentioned the whole thing about Mr. Fantastic being in that movie. That guy, I don't remember his name, but he was always one of those like indie actors. Like, he did some small stuff. Like, what was it? He was in not some small stuff, but he was like always side characters in like other movies. Like, he was like the movie making friend, I think, and whatchamacallit, The Girl Next Door. He was also the
Oh,
friend with
that's
Kim.
who he is. Oh my god, that was just like a fucking revelation in my head.
I
That
think
sounds so
it's
weird, but The Girl Next Door was a big movie for me in high school. It just like that seemed like me and all our friends all seemed to really like that movie a lot. Maybe it's
I
just for
think
the time.
it's like, 'cause I think because it was a couple things. Because you're between the age of 14 and 16. Like, oh god, it's the hot chick that used to work in the porn industry, and she just so happens to like me for who I am. That's like every like awkward. No, fuck awkward. That's like every kid's fucking fantasy. I mean, I don't gotta do nothing. I just gotta be myself, and the girl in the porno likes me. Yep, Billy, that's all you got to do. Oh, gee, Willikers. Like in real life, be like, you got any fucking money? Oh, yeah, come right in. Like,
Yeah, exactly. But
I got any schnapps? I really need something to fucking drink right now. Oh, my parents are home. Don't be a fucking pussy. Got any schnapps? Like, all right, this way. Most annoying
well,
character.
I think it was that and the fact that it was a movie about people in high school making movies. So I think that was the other big appeal to it too. Like not just the teen comediness, because that was at that period where like watched a copious amount of like different teen comedies, and I think that just makes logical sense between the ages of 10 and 20. Did you get that fucking Eli Roth one that I sent you, that podcast?
You know what? No, I mean I got the thing, but I didn't listen to it just because I'm an asshole. So yeah.
Because I'm an asshole. Yeah. Well, there was one where it was Eli Roth talking with Chris Jericho and also Eli Roth's brother, and they were just talking all about like 70s and 80s teen movies, and like fucking Eli Roth going way in depth on all these things, fucking Quentin Tarantino style.
He seems kind of like the less. I mean, I'm not saying this to be a dickhole because he does have his fan bases and he is getting by fine, but he seems kind of like the less like successful Tarantino, because Tarantino, did this weird niche thing and found a way to bring like grindhouse cult film stuff to like the forefront to make people like, oh wow, he found a way to make it seem classy and cool. Where Eli Roth, he does it and he has he has a big fan basis for it, but at the same time though, it's just very much just that fan basis.
No, that's true, because like
as far as torture,
I
guess it's torture film.
I really like Eli Roth. I think that here's the thing. I think this is what would make Eli Roth become a big household name, is if he did a movie it wasn't actually horror. I know that sounds kind of like going against the grain there, but if he did something that was, because that's
or didn't do a torture film or something like that.
Yeah, well, because the thing is, because when you watch his movies, that's what makes them kind of like, you look at it and you go, oh, it's just a torture movie, but then you kind of watch it and you go, oh my gosh, the layers in these movies and all the like, the different pulls and things like that. And that's what I think makes him such a good director, is because he can have all these weird little things going on. You're not just seeing a generic horror movie. You're getting a lot more than that. But I think what he needs to do is take all that style and put it into like an action movie or something else. I know that sounds like, doing something he's not totally into, but he seems to be into everything anyway, so why not? That'd be cool just to see him do something like that. And I think he could be this humongous director by that point.
Yeah, he was one of the best parts of Inglourious Bastards, so.
Yeah. But yeah, he was talking about a bunch of like 80s teen things, and that made me kind of start thinking about all like the different teen movies throughout time or whatnot. I was like, man, that was like one of those genres. It's funny, like when you stop and think about certain things, it's like there was a time when like
that was rapey. There's a time where some of those movies, looking back, American Pie, kind of a rapey movie when you think about it. It's just kind of like, oh yeah, I got this thing for this girl and she really likes me. All I gotta do is just be myself. But you know what you could do, dude? What could I do? Well, after you're done fucking that pie, you can just set up a camera in your room and you could watch your strip, and we can watch and we could jerk each other off while she strips in your room. Like, oh, okay, sounds like a good idea. Then like and then you get the thing of where you get to see him just like flub it totally, and then like, oh, she got deported. Fuck her.
Yeah, later on.
It was just like he faced no consequences. It was just like, yeah, well, she got naked. Don't need her no more.
Yep,
She's out. You think the whole thing. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still like that movie. I hear people like rip it apart now, and I understand some of the things they bring up, but it was just, when you grow up with something, you can't help but kind of like it, I mean, it's not like it's fucking like Birth of a Nation or some shit like that, but I mean, it's one of those things that you can look back, because there's some things you look back on, you kind of cringe a little bit, but it's just like, oh, maybe that was a little fucked up, but at the same time, it, I grew up with it, so I can kind of give it some leeway, and plus it's total fantasy anyway.
Well, and I look at American Pie. I think that movie is, especially in the longer run too, that will be like that real like classic movie of the turn of the century. It will be up there as far as kind of like teen college comedy movies go, along the lines of, The Graduate and Animal House, and even things like Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I think it goes almost like in those kind of movies, like, maybe even top 5. I think that's a big, big movie as far as that goes. I mean, for the time period, it was kind of like it came out the right time, because it was sort of like, maybe not, I mean, there's always teen movies no matter what, but it felt like the teen movie kind of like died out sort of there for a bit, for a couple of years. Like, they weren't nearly as popular as they once were, and then that thing brought it back, making copious amounts of money off, a couple guys just making scripts and everything like that, which is kind of a cool story in itself.
Mm-hmm. Plus, at the same time, though, I feel like if you do a teen comedy this day and age, you almost got to do it like, I don't think you can make the same like tits and ass teen comedy like you once do. I think we live in too much of a PC world now, at least at the moment, to make something that's really going to stand out like that. I feel like now you got to do something that's kind of like, you make a teen movie still, and maybe it's a teen comedy, but I feel like you got to do some kind of like self-reflecting kind of movie, something like that. Like I never saw it, but Faults in Our Stars, or I saw it a little bit ago, the other one, same, based on the same author but a different book, Paper Towns. I think you got to make something like that to make a little bit of money now, you know what I mean, or to get people interested.
Are those movies even like full-on comedies? Those sound like dramas.
It was like, it was a dramedy comedy, like dramedy, I guess you'd say, is I never saw Fault in Our Stars, but the other one I saw it, and I think that was a dramedy, you'd say,
Yeah,
I feel like that we just kind of got done, because after American Pie, a bunch of those like 90s like tits and ass movies came out. Road Trip, Euro Trip, and then a bunch of shit bunch of like that National Lampoons came back in a big bad way after.
Because Van Wilder was there right afterwards, and which technically was the last one to come out in theaters. I mean, there was a humongous hoorah, and that's probably it, because like it was the perfect time for us to be like experienced in all those movies like that. Like, there was this wave of it. And even if those movies are about college kids, it sounds so weird. I feel actually the target audience is always younger than who they show in there. You know what I mean? Because that's why, like, I always look at American Pie as like our high school movies. Now that sounds so weird for the fact that like technically because their high school is 1999, but I think as being kids watching it, that's almost like, there you go. That's where high school goes into college. American Pie 2, that's college right there. Like, that's you saw that as that. You know what I mean? And that's why I've always felt like those ones sort of were like our generation's, one, even though, yes, clearly the characters are older and it's almost made for a little bit older audience as far as that sense goes. But that's why I feel like I have that connection with the American Pie characters. It's just like that right there, even though I'm in high school watching them being a little bit older, still.
I feel like it's going to come back in some way, some kind of like, because everything comes in cycles.
Yeah.
I feel like we will get some kind of like, boner fest teen movies again. I'm sure if you go on Netflix right now, you can find one. Whatever, to bring it back to the first 5 minutes of the episode.
National Lampoon's Boner Fest.
Yeah. Well, I think that's literally what like Cargill and Brian Salisbury called it on Junk Food Cinema, like a boner jam. That's they call like a lot of those like 90s, 80s teen comedies as boner jams. Like, that's a good point. But I feel like fuck was I saying? I feel like that all stuff comes and goes, and I feel like that can come back later. But I feel like right now, people are almost too self-reflective and too like trying to like, I don't know, like too self-reflective, or maybe I'm trying to overcredit like current like teens. But and plus I think we almost live in too much of a PC world. Like, let me get this right. You're putting teenage kids in these situations, and it's not an art house movie, so I feel like it's gonna be a little while before they make another big like tits and ass high school movie.
Yeah, that kind of wave. And I know that's kind of like, remember, that's in the Eli Roth one with Chris Jericho, that's what they were talking about. They're kind of like, she's like, the thing was, though, is like that was the time you saw tits and ass was in those movies. It was like, you didn't have anywhere else to go for it. So that's what made those movies like stand out in the 80s. That's why you went to see Porky's. That's why you saw Revenge of the Nerds. That's why you saw all these different ones, even fucking Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Because Eli Roth was pointing out, he's like, I think that actually is the most definitive one, because it captures, like, even though it's sold as a comedic one, which really it is. I mean, you look at the cover of that movie, and it's got
Mhm.
Spicoli sitting there like, "Yo, bro,
Yeah.
you know, who wants to go surf and smoke pot?" And like, really, he's just like totally like the fifth side character of the movie. If he's like Jay and Silent Bob, almost in Chasing Amy. Like he's only in it like 3 or 4 scenes. Well, they're in it, they won that, but So, but it's really a drama at heart, with a serious story because it's Cameron Crowe, and all that good stuff there, and it's the chick that also directed Clueless. I can't remember what else she directed.
Laura Petty?
No, Laura Petty is the chick who's in Point Break and.
Oh, I feel like a fucking. Oh
yeah,
yeah, that's right. Okay.
But you might have a name similar to that. So he's
Penny Marshall. Is it Penny Marshall? No, Penny Marshall.
No, Penny Marshall is.
She was a big
Wayne's World. No, that's not the one.
No, yeah, I don't know. Another yeah.
But,
woman director.
But he's like, what happened from that point too is then it goes into like sort of you get the John Hughes movies where they almost like they keep the sophisticatedness of like the teen comedy, but then they kind of dial back the raunchiness and take that part out of it.
I feel like
and that's kind of where we're at now. I guess you could almost say is like for the certain teen movies that do come out, which totally go over my head nowadays because I don't even like really notice them. I guess the closest thing like when I think of like a teen movie is something like that Neighbors thing, even though I know it involves like a mix between like 30-year-olds and like college kids, but that
your
to
best
me is
friend starring your new best friend.
Yeah, I know. I only fucking like him in fucking sausage party, man. It's not fucking hanging out with him on the weekends and shit. Like I'm like that. Like, like what? Like I invited him over to my house one time. We had a really good time. Fuck you.
Spencer loves a Seth Rogen movie. Not just liked. Oh, it was surprising.
Not just like a super bad.
Not like super
I
bad.
enjoy that movie. I think that's one of the ones where he's like, okay, yeah.
You actually said a perfect movie. That's one of the things that I actually, I'm just we're gonna be on our fucking. I'll be on my, hopefully not together, maybe on like on a hologram phone, but on our deathbeds, and be like, hey, you like a Seth Rogen comedy? Fuck you, you cocksucker. But no, what was I gonna say? But yeah, actually, that's a good point because now we're at the point of like when we were younger. I think we were like one of the last generations for it to be a big deal if you saw tits in a movie because like, well, where else are we gonna get this other than like
because it was still pre-internet. It was still
other than like Showtime or like or Cinemax like at like like 11 o'clock at night. Where else are you gonna get this shit? And then like plus we lived in we're like it's gonna sound like this is gonna boggle some people's minds, but we lived in an area where it's hard to get internet because it was the mountains. So
that's I mean nobody had internet at the time. Maybe the richest kid, but even still, it was so hard. Dial-up was the only thing. And here's the thing: when I got American Pie 2 on DVD, I probably watched that movie not by myself, but like 20 times in like under like 2 months because every weekend I would have like a cycle of friends that would come over and they always wanted to watch American Pie 2. Always.
Can we skip forward to the lesbian like makeout scene? We just skip forward to that.
So, I mean, I watched a copious amount of that film. I've seen probably American Pie 2 more than, a ton of, like, really good movies that you probably should see, like, a lot. But no, I saw American Pie 2 a copious amount. I love that movie still. And I mean, even the first one. And I like, the third one's probably the weakest one of them all. And maybe the fourth one. But I still enjoyed going through it, seeing the characters go throughout time and everything like that. Because to me, that was almost like the pinnacle teen movie I can think of in a sense of like for myself. Like that movie, even though I watched Animal House beforehand and even though I watched all the 80s John Hughes stuff and everything like that, I think American Pie was like the relatable 90s to 2000s transition film.
Yeah, that's a pretty good point, that one. Well, I mean, I can't even really... I guess it is kind of relatable to the certain extent of it being, oh, it's hard getting laid, and you get it, right, kids? I guess there's kind of that, but...
And I don't think it's necessarily that as much. I think it's more the characters. Because, I look at Stifler, and that always reminds me of our buddy Kyle. When I see... And, like, even...
He's a nicer version of Stifler.
Yeah, he's a nicer version, but, like, he's got, like, very similar...
He's got to fuck something in that room. He walks in a room, something in this room's getting fucked. I don't know what, but something.
And he just says things, and he even looks like Sean William Scott. So, like, there's so much of that there. And then, like, it's like even some of the other characters, like, who's the nerdy guy in there?
Finch.
there was our buddy Robert from Hawaii. That guy always reminded me of Finch, So like all these characters kind of tied to things, and that was back in the day when we used to make characters out of all the like movies and video games and comics and everything like that. And I remember, my character was Oz. I think Cisco's character was
You're Oz, the guy that never fucking thrown a football, who hates fucking sports. You were Oz.
That was me. See, that's the weird relatableness of it. Though we really didn't have. It was
I know
like,
Cisco was Jason Biggs because
Cisco was Jason Biggs.
Because Cisco is Jewish and Jason, we just assume Jason Biggs is Jewish.
Cisco's not even Jewish, but
he was for some reason. I mean, he's not going to listen to this shit.
He told people he was Jewish in school, and I remember like I remember somebody told me that. They're like, yeah, Cisco, he's Jewish. I'm like, he's not fucking Jewish. And they're like, what? He told me he was Jewish. I'm like, he's fucking telling you a lie. I've known that guy since I was 5 years old. He's not fucking Jewish at all.
I don't know where that came from. Maybe just like, oh, I believe the comedy thing now, because he was doing a lot of drama shit. So I'm acting. I'm in a role. Maybe that's what it was, method acting, maybe.
Exactly. Now, I have to ask you, let's disinclude American Pie, but what do you think about, off the top of your head, top 3 favorite teen comedy movies from any generation? Just top 3 that you could think that you could throw on right now and go, that's a pretty good movie, or at least I remember it being a really damn good movie. Teen/college movies.
Teen/college?
Yeah.
I'd say Clerks, but I don't know if you can count that one. This is thing where it's centered around not so much that age, but just more centered around being on a campus or being on a schoolyard, right?
Yeah, I kind of picture it more like that. So let's keep it. Let's keep.
All right.
I know Clerks is now that you mentioned Clerks and Mallrats both feel kind of like borderline, like they could be, but I'm just gonna assume that's more like later in life.
Okay,
like
right, we'll take that off the table. Okay,
that's like right out of college. Let's just say that.
Some of my results might make you mad, but I'm just gonna throw them out there. Ferris Bueller's Day Off, of course.
Classic.
I'm gonna go with 5. I'm gonna go with 5 because it's kind of hard. I feel like I'm cheating one or the other, and you're gonna be mad at me for some of these just for putting it up there with Ferris Bueller's Day Off. But Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Breakfast Club.
Well, the whole point of this list, I just want to say really quickly, it's not necessarily like top 5 you think is the best. Like these top 5 almost affect you more. Like make it a more personal list. So no matter what, I can't be offended by any of your lists.
Superbad.
You're gonna go like, well, not another gay movie is one of my. Even though it's funny though, I'm not gonna lie.
But. I've never seen it. Superbad. I actually surprisingly, even though it's a newer movie and it was more of like kind of a. It was more of an action. It was more of sort of a light action comedy, but still set around a high school. 21 Jump Street was surprisingly really funny.
The two main characters though are all adults though in it.
But it totally plays like a high school comedy though. It totally plays like a high school and the thing is when they go back to high school, because it's only like they were going back to high school like 4 years later, and now the popular guy Channing Tatum, he's now an outcast because because things have changed since he was in high school. Jonah Hill is now the popular kid. He's getting sucked up into it. So when they should be doing their job, looking for this drug dealer in the school, he's getting kind of sucked up into the high school drama. And Shane Tatum's like, dude, we just got to focus on the fucking job, So it's actually kind of plays sort of, even though there's a lot of shit.
That seems kind of like I don't know. I might have to minus that one out because that just seems like almost like.
Oh, who you make? Oh, you're pointing yourself the fucking judge of like high school.
The only reason I said, but by that standard, Billy Madison's also one too.
It is one.
I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like that's a little bit different because that's like somebody going back.
We got fucking high school movies, then we got Billy Madison type. Okay. All 5 Billy Madison type movies, we'll count those. So that's 22 Jump Street, Billy Madison, and I don't know, there's probably some other movie where someone goes back to high school.
Yeah, that's 17 again one.
And 13 going on 30 or whatever. I don't fucking know. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that seems a little bit like, okay, like, yeah, I know it kind of involves a school, by I guess you could also even say fucking Stand and Deliver. And
no, Stand and Deliver don't make that list. Don't make that list.
Not that good.
I mean,
don't have enough white people in it.
I remember. I guess if I had my top, like, is that no fight? Fucking. I guess my main three. I guess in that case would just be Superbad, Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller, and I'm sure if I thought long enough, American Pie won. Animal House, of course. Now, I guess that. Well, what was the next thing I was gonna say regarding this whole genre?
Do I not get a list?
What?
Do I not get a list?
Oh, my bad. Fuck. Go ahead. Yeah.
No, you don't.
Now I'm throwing down the fucking hammer. No, you go ahead.
Okay, Billy Matt.
Fuck.
No, I'd probably say for myself, I'm gonna say National Lampoon's Van Wilder, Detroit Rock City. I'm gonna say probably Fast Times at Ridge Mountain High. That was a movie I watched a lot. Let's see what else is there I can fucking think of. I'm definitely gonna go with American Pie, the original one. I think that's that is out of all those. And then, what's another one about the 2000? You know, actually, here's one. This is actually probably my favorite out of all of these. Son-in-Law.
Oh, Son-in-Law.
But those, I will say, even Son-in-Law feels a little bit different. Like, even though I know it's like, you know, college kids and then like that, but almost the second that they're outside of college, it doesn't almost even feel like college. I mean, maybe it's a little bit different. I mean, I guess it still sort of is in that category, but it doesn't have the same feel as, I guess, like the raunchy teen comedies compared to, I don't know, that sounds weird, but.
Well, as our buddy West once said, Son-in-Law is the Casablanca of Pauly Shore's like filmography.
I love Son-in-Law. That movie, like, no matter what, that will always be on my top 10 favorite films of all time. And I know when it outbeats things like Casablanca, that almost seems wrong, but I'm not gonna lie, I love Casablanca, but I could watch Son-in-Law all the time.
It's been some time. It's been some time, not gonna lie.
Since I've had that movie on VHS as a kid, I've watched it. I probably watched that movie more. There's probably 2 movies I watch each year more than anything else, and it's that movie and Jurassic Park. Sounds so fucking weird to say, but that's
Jurassic Park and Son-in-Law. Your two go-to like feel.
2 movies, both 1993. Must be a coincidence.
Yeah. No, I get you. No, I was trying. There's something I was gonna say regarding teen movies. There's God, fuck. I forgot. But yeah, no. Shit. What was it? No, it's on tip of my tongue. 1 minute. It was like I think a lot of that kind of goes away though once you've actually gotten laid, because I think a lot of those movies are all about like, oh man, to be misunderstood and be like a fucking horny 15-year-old, man. No one in life fucking gets you. But I think once you actually like fuck, I think after that, it's like, you know, what's the big deal? After these movies, you know what I mean?
Well, what do you think it is about like those movies that like, because that's almost like the unspoken.
It's telling you what you want to hear. It's almost telling
but like, did you ever have a conversation with anybody while watching those movies? I just remember throwing them on and like we just threw them on like, oh, it's just, you know, something funny to watch, but like nobody's really saying anything. I don't know, maybe that was just how it was. Like everybody's internally thinking that, or maybe they're not. Maybe it's like way in the back of the mind that that's happening there because you're a kid.
In some
and
cases,
you're more looking forward to the next like fucking Mountain Dew and Diet Soda that you know you have because you already ran out of Mountain Dew.
For American Pie, I was probably feeling that. I probably was not really thinking about it so much because that movie came out when I was like, fuck, 11 or 12. So at that point, it was just funny and like, oh, boobs. But then when you get older, and you watch some of those kind of movies, like I think like by that point, like Road Trip and Euro Trip later in the line, I think that's where it's just kind of like, or like perfect example, Girl Next Door, that one.
Another one like that too. And it is sort of those things. And that's even like how Detroit Rock City is, even though I think that one's a little bit more. That one, like what I like about that
that's
movie.
About a band. That's about a group of friends just really want to fuck Kiss.
Yeah, pretty much. That is more what it is. And like
they're more interested in Kiss than fucking pussy.
Yeah, realistically, that's how it is. And they just kind of happen to get laid along the way. Just like, I didn't expect that to happen. And
that's also more of just like if you're a diehard Kiss fan, because aren't all the girls in the movie named after like Kiss songs?
Yeah,
like
it's like Beth and but what makes that movie was one of those ones where like it was shot really well and then edited very hip, and like one of the kind of like first movies to have a lot of that almost like Guy Ritchie editing in it, but it was done in like a comedy and everything like that. Mm-hmm. And I think that was what stood out to me a lot when I first saw that one, because it was like right when I was getting really interested in movie making. It was like, oh my god, here's a perfect movie. I love Kiss. I love 70s rock. They got cool editing in it. It's made really well. Tons of great music throughout it. I like the characters. It's got fucking John Connor in it. Like, come on. Who didn't want to be John Connor in like the 90s?
Was he like?
He's the main character in it.
He was. That's right.
It's got him in it, and then it's got the drummer in Superman Returns plays.
Oh no, he played Jimmy Olsen. Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Olsen. So it's got him in there, and then the guy that plays Trip, who's the guy with the long hair, who's kind of like the dumb guy. He's also in National Lampoon's Dorm Days, which is another, or at least back in the day.
Was it like Days, like DAZE, or Days and DAZS?
I think it's DAZE.
Okay.
And that one actually even has the kid from Son-in-Law in it, who's also in, The Big Green or whatever. And he's like a total like douchebag, like college kid in this one who just wants to try to get laid, but nobody likes him.
He's doing like the Expendables of like '90s teen comedies.
Oh yeah, he's in The Sandlot too. That's right.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Laura.
that movie was like the Expendables of fucking like teen comedy, like sidekick characters. Because they had a bunch of people in that one. Now that I remember it. But I thought that movie was creatively made. Like, I don't know, like, this sounds weird. Like horror movies, even though I don't really watch a whole lot of them anymore, I still am always fascinated, and I still would love to make one anytime soon. And it's like, you got a whole handful of scripts to pull out. It'd be kind of cool just to write. And like now you can do that kind of creative thing where you almost write it back in like when you originally wrote like the script, like let's say it takes place in 2006, you can almost write it in 2006 nowadays because it's been long enough. And I see people doing it all the time. Most of the time it's 80s and 90s stuff, but that's almost kind of a hip thing as long as you don't rub it in too much, like what year it is. I think that's the only key thing is you don't like fucking shoehorn in just a copious amount of references of whatever year you pick.
BoJack Horseman, whenever they have a flashback episode, they do that, but they do it so like on the nose, like ha ha ha, we know, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like they even did that with like 2006, and I was just like, oh my god, I remember not 2006. I think it was like actually 2007 or 2000. I think it was like maybe 2007. It was like, oh my god, I guess things were that different back in 2007 when you think about it.
It's funny how those things are like that, where you don't realize it doesn't seem that long ago, and it just kind of feels like, oh yeah, well, what really was the difference? But then it's almost like you see the glimpses of it, or watch commercials. It's amazing how like old a commercial can feel, even in like 10 years. It's weird.
No, that's like that price. It's going to be very like narrowed down to maybe 5 people who listen. There's like the Price Co store, like in Sonora, when you go in there and they have like the old like 90s commercials on the monitor as you like in the checkout lane.
So you get like that clay Bruce Lee brisk one.
Oh fuck yeah! That's cringeworthy. Yeah.
Which whenever I looked at, even as a kid, I looked at him like Bruce Lee wouldn't have liked that.
He wouldn't have drinking brisk.
No, God, no. Brisk is a horrible like drink. It sounds like it's good on the outside. Oh, it's iced tea, but then you look at the sugar content inside and the high fructose corn syrup, and you're like, oh my god.
It's basically it's like
they don't sell those almost anymore.
It's like Sprite calling itself tea. That's all it really is.
That was a nice little ramble on all those like fun movies like that. I felt like there was another movie I watched recently that I was like, this would be fun to talk about, but there was a movie I saw. Like, here's a movie that I know we've talked about it for a long time, and it kind of got hidden over time, even though I guess some people might not say so. But my first time watching it was Pan's Labyrinth.
Oh, fuck. You watched that movie finally?
Yeah, we ended up buying it on Blu-ray and everything like that. We sat down.
There's like, I'll say this. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just like the laying, like, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. There's like, I noticed when we both did, whatever, for different things, we both did. Back like after high school, you just like, we would just have like these things like, I don't fucking like this kind of thing. Why? I just fucking don't. And I remember for you, it was like, for whatever reason, it was like...
CG.
Yeah, and like that movie barely has any CG. And Cisco was just so, not talk shit on our friend, but he was just so dead set against that movie. It was fucking stupid. It was just another big epic movie. I'm like, dude, it's not epic. She's going like 10 feet underground into a little labyrinth thing. It just still had the vibe of like an epic movie. It was stupid. There's a bunch of CG. It's like, it's not that fucking CG, Phil. And like, looking back, I don't know, I have my own qualms, and like, for whatever reason, like, I'm on Cisco's side. Like, yeah, fuck that shit. Why? I don't know, fuck it. I don't give a shit. I just got to high school. I still got to be fucking rebellious about something. Fuck Pan's Labyrinth. That's what I'm landing on. And like, I'm sure.
Exactly.
I was that way.
I haven't seen it. I trust the guy's opinion who hasn't seen it.
And I was like just totally on like, I don't know, I was like, for me it probably had to be emo music. I think it had to be like, they're still like just about cutting themselves and like reverse mullets, fuck it, and then like later down the line, oh, My Chemical Romance is actually a good band. But no.
Yeah, they're pretty good. It's like they're almost so good. Maybe not I wouldn't get a t-shirt good, but like I'll buy all their fucking albums good.
So all right, now I mean, I don't know, I'm assuming you liked it, but Pan's Labyrinth?
No, I really liked it. Actually, strange enough, it was completely different than I thought it was actually going to be. I expected it to be almost more of like a pure fantasy movie, but technically the fantasy is almost the side platter of that film. Mm-hmm. It's more of like a war kind of drama, almost more than anything else, like in Spain. And I kind of thought about them too, because I just thought like, okay, Cisco said all these like things, and it's like, well, one, it's not an epic movie whatsoever. Two, there is, I mean,
He
there's
just doesn't
CG in
like
it,
he doesn't like
and there is
fantasy.
some bad CG in it. Like I will say, there's some stuff that you could totally tell. It's like, okay, I can kind of see,
The
you
fairy
could see it.
things, the fairy things.
Yeah, and they almost like nowadays, and once again for the time, what is it, 2005 for that movie?
Yeah.
That it would have been totally fine back then, but now you kind of look at it, you could see like almost like the outlines of the CG, so it's like, okay, you could totally tell that is. But when they have puppets in it, they look badass and everything
The
like
Tail
that.
Man, oh my god, that thing is fucking haunting.
Yeah, exactly. That thing's. I remember that was right where I turned it off halfway through the first time watching. I'm like, okay, time to go to bed. Click. Which is probably the stupidest place to turn that off at. But like, can't we go to a happy scene afterwards? Nope. Good enough.
I don't know
Right
if that
there.
movie has a happy scene, really.
No, not really. It's actually kind of a dark, depressing, like sad movie. And even like it almost has that ending too, where you kind of can go like, is technically all that fantasy stuff not even real, and it's just in that little girl's mind? Because one, nobody else sees it. Two, she's always reading fantasy books anyway, so it's kind of leading up to think that maybe this stuff is. People even in the story tell her that she's got to watch out from reading too many of those, or she'll start thinking of these things. And then even like as she dies, is that like one last moment where it shows her kind of going up to like the gods. Is that sort of the moment where in her mind she's out there, she's fucking bleeding out, and she kind of just decides that, you know what, it's all right, I'm up here with my family, and then can pass away, because that's because then it cuts after that. Once she passes away, whatever you want, she either goes up or she just ends up dying there. It cuts back to real life, and it shows all the revolutionary people there kind of like holding this dead body in a sense, because that's what it is now. Whether her goes to some kind of spirit world, it almost can go both ways. Either that stuff's all in her head, or that stuff is actually real and she is the only one that can see it, and it is a spirit world that she ascends to. It's kind of interesting. I like that though, because it makes you think, and there's not really a right answer to any of it.
I assume, because it's Guillermo del Toro, I'm going to assume it's probably real. Just a rough guess.
Mm-hmm.
That maybe seemed like a weird thing to land on. I'm sure they mentioned. I think for the people who don't like fantasy, I'm sure they probably like. Which, if you don't like fantasy, what the fuck are you doing watching that movie? But I think for people who don't like fantasy or want to have a more of a thinky piece movie, they probably just made it seem that way, so you can kind of go either way. But to me, I think it probably all was real. Though I think I'm not gonna lie, it's been so long since I've seen it. I only seen it like twice or something. I liked when I saw it, but I only seen
Mm-hmm.
it twice or so, and it was years ago. But I remember, I don't remember if like I didn't. Doesn't the guy get killed? Like the evil stepdad get killed by the revolutionaries?
Yeah,
He gets killed by
because
the revolutionaries.
he ends up coming out or
Which I
whatever.
guess I guess a more concrete way of doing it is if he chased her through the labyrinth and he got killed by one of the monsters or something like that.
But that's the thing though, is like that would almost lead it to being for sure
Yeah.
it's a real thing. But there's no concrete evidence in there to support whether that's real or not. But I think that's cool though. I like that. It makes you think. And it kind of almost gives multiple ways. Like it would be fun to watch that movie a couple times and just like really try to piece that together to see what's going on there. But no, I really liked it. But as I said, I thought that was weird. Like I actually expected her to be like, oh, she's gonna go in that labyrinth and that's gonna be like 90% of the movie is her inside the fantasy world. And it's like, oh, that's really like that's almost the side section of the movie. It's more this like they came to this shitty like military regime area. There's these revolutionary people out in the woods. There's intel on the inside. People are getting fucked over and killed, and it's kind of weird. It's like it's a rated R movie, though it looks almost like a kids movie from like the cover.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
does look kind of like. I mean, maybe because it's in
I
the
don't mean
same.
like a kids movie, but like something like Labyrinth or something
Yeah.
like Legend or Never-Ending Story. It has like a cover like that.
Well, I kind of like that stuff that's very reminiscent of something that's from your childhood or kind of whimsical, but they just bring in like this darker element to it. I kind of like that because something I remember reading an interview with Guillermo del Toro, and he said kind of like, I'm trying to tell like a fairy tale, but it's kind of like where all the fairy tale magical creatures were left out in the rain, and
That's cool.
it's very much feels like that when you look at the way the designs of the characters. That's one thing about Del Toro. Like sometimes like he'll have like some weird looking character. He'll have like all his movies look amazing, but sometimes they have some very clunky dialogue. Like he could speak English fine, but it's clearly not his first language. So sometimes when he has the characters talk, like in Hellboy or Hellboy 2, the dialogue seems pretty stiff at moments. But almost the thing I forgive about in a Del Toro movie is how it looks visually. And all his movies are always visually amazing. And that's one of the reasons I like going to his movies, because I like all the crazy sets and all the fucking puppets and monsters he uses.
Yeah, well, it's one of those ones, like, in his movies, I'm always excited to watch them all because I know I'll always see something I've never really seen before, and it's always going to look cool. And even if they're not that, but yeah, but because the thing about him is he doesn't really have a whole lot of perfect movies. The closest thing to a perfect movie I think he's got, or, close to it, maybe not perfect, but a really fucking awesome movie was something like Pacific Rim, because the more, like, I've watched that movie about 3 or 4 times by now, and the more I watch it, I just go, God, I love this movie so fucking much. And I know, like, it didn't get, for some reason, a lot of people didn't like it a whole lot, but I personally, I love everything about it, But even
I'll cut you off. Go ahead.
I was just say, if you want to mention about, I was just gonna say in the other movies, it's like, because it's like Hellboy 1 too. It's like they're not really the most perfect movies, but they're really fun and they look amazing.
Exactly.
Kronos is another one too. It's got a real cool look to it. It's not a movie you could just throw on any time. And even Pan's Lair, it's like it's really good. I can't imagine throwing it on a bunch because it's kind of like a heavy movie, but.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say about Pacific Rim. Like, I liked the movie. I thought it was good, but I think a lot of people, I mean, because the movie is pretty straightforward. Like, my brother died, man. I'm trying to avenge him. You know what I mean? And there is kind of that whole, like, I don't know. I will say there was.
It's got that It's like, I think it's got that patriotism, or the patriotism of like Starship Troopers. I think I like that kind of aspect because that's what it feels like to me. It comes across like Starship Troopers or like Earth Defense Force or any of those kind of like, we can do it. Come on, we rally together. We can fight these guys off. And I like that. I don't know what it is. It's like something about that kind of mode that doesn't bother me.
I think
almost like Olympus Has Fallen kind of has that similar feel. Same year.
I think people like this day and age just have trouble with patriotism because everyone has their own opinions on it. B, I feel like another thing is when you put patriotism in sci-fi and they have some big epic score by Hans Zimmer. Now, come on, gang, we're going to team up together and fight the Glip-Glorps for the Space Federation. I think, like, that's probably how it sounds to, like, your average moviegoer who doesn't really give a shit about sci-fi. It's like, yeah, whatever, dude, And, I mean, I liked the movie. When I saw it, I totally enjoyed it. But I think the thing about it, because the thing is, it was a total cherry pick of anime, and it's kind of like a Scott Pilgrim in a sense, where it's like, I'm surprised this fucking movie got made, because it's a cherry picking so many things.
Anime and Godzilla.
Kaiju, and just, even like each robot was, I think, a representation of a different genre within kaiju robots, Like the whole like Russian. Remember, I've only seen the movie twice, but the Russian one where it had like an old 1950s Cold War look,
like almost like a Fallout look to it.
Yeah. Then there is like, I want to say, even though it was a Chinese, I think it was a Chinese robot. There's
with the 3 arms.
Yeah, the one that was really slick and moved really quick. I want to say that was more of like, it was your
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Or
I wasn't thinking Power Rangers. I was thinking it's probably like something like your anime robots, but still something more to the lines of, rather than like Gundam, something like alternative, like Evangelion, or where the robot has a sleeker design. I mean, there's other ones out there, but that's the one that comes to mind. And each one, that's just my interpretation, but I think each one was a particular genre of that, even though we only saw like Gypsy Danger, which I think is an awesome name for a fucking robot. But I think the whole thing with that was people wanted like this, they wanted like a big compelling story, but what we got was just a bunch, mostly robots fighting, which I'm fine with robots fighting, but I think
that's what I mean. It's like we don't have any movies that are really like that, especially in that kind of look. I mean, obviously, yes, there's been movies throughout time, but that's what I think made it.
I think people wanted that, though. I think people wanted the spectacle with all the raw emotion, and we didn't really get that, but that's fine. I mean, because how many movies have robots fighting like that? Like, I wasn't really going in expecting like the Dark Knight of like robot movies, because fuck, there are like a whole lot of robot battling movies in the first place, and then Transformers, and they're not kaiju movies.
Yeah, and I don't know, personally, me, it's like the more I watch that movie, the more I go, there's not really anything wrong with it. There's a couple things that are kind of weird, but that movie's pacing is fucking amazing. It's got constant action in it, constant story, constant everything flows so nice in it. The only thing that's like slightly weird is like is the other scientist that's not Charlie Day. Like, the one thing that just feels weird about him is because this guy he feels like a man out of time. And I mean, obviously that's what he's into, but it literally feels like, I am 1920 scientist here to research these, kaiju. Just the way he goes about it, it's almost like a little too much acting involved there. But
everybody's a character. It's like if you could literally present that thing as an anime. It literally feels like it could be an anime, or like,
and maybe that's why he's like that, because it is he wants to be slightly over the top of everything.
Or it could feel like that was like an adaptation of a comic book or an anime. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I still like the movie. I didn't buy it, but I liked it enough. I mean, if I saw it for like a cheap price, I'd probably buy it. So, I mean, I wasn't really blown away. I clearly didn't like it as much as you, but I mean, I think people.
Yeah, I got it on Blu-ray and everything. So I think fucking 2-disc version.
I even bought the version that came with a little miniature figure. Yeah, no. I
would have if I saw it.
I'm guessing that exists. Maybe I'm wrong, but something out there probably like that. I feel like sometimes people expect too much out of a movie. I think sometimes there's like, all right, there's enough of these. This should be better by this point. But that one right there, it's like, how many big giant robot movies do you have other than Transformers?
Exactly. And even like, the only thing I else think of is like, it's like the older Godzilla movies.
They put that big American ones, to put it that way.
Yeah, for American movies, none really. So that's what I think that makes it cool. And even, because you think Japan, the downfall of a lot of those movies, they don't have that same budget to back it up, so they can't make it as cool as Pacific Rim looks. I think that's what makes it cool. Is it had a humongous budget in it, and that's what it needed to make it badass. Mm-hmm. But there was another movie we were talking about. It just kind of rolled along, but I think this would be a real fun movie to do retrospect on sometime, is The Legend with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry.
I'll be honest. I mean, I got to watch that movie again. I don't know if I like it enough, but maybe I could watch it again. We'll see.
Well, what I like about that movie is it is pretty much the Legend of Zelda movie. If you break that movie down, that is what you're watching. Tom Cruise is Link. There's pretty much a Princess Zelda in it, and then Tim Curry plays Ganon. The dynamic that's in that film feels just like it. It's in this fairy kingdom thing. They got all this stuff. I mean, obviously, it's not like, your main things like your Triforce and all this swords and Hyrule and all those things. But like when I watch it, it's 86, so it's like literally right around the same time that, well, in America, that Zelda would have came out. It would have came out a couple years prior in Japan. But that's what I like about it, is like I watch this, I'm like, dude, this is close. This is like almost like blueprints of being like a Zelda film. And you got Ridley Scott fucking directing it and everything like that. They were originally supposed to shoot in Yosemite, which would have been badass, but they ended up shooting on a soundstage instead.
That means he probably would have had like some pictures of like Tom Cruise probably in like a baseball hat, also wearing like the Legend outfit, probably sitting like somewhere like in a diner, like smiling, looking over, like back from like, probably 84 or something like that.
Yeah, I know. That would have been kind of...
And like some of the diners in town.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I think they have some of that. You see some like pictures of like, if you go to like some of the ones in Jamestown, some restaurants, they had like a picture of Clint Eastwood sitting at like one of the counters waving, like one with Morgan Freeman,
Yeah, with Marty McFly, like, what's his name?
Shaky. I've got it here.
Marty McFly, fucking Marty McFly and
Shaky.
Yeah, are both there. Yeah, Shaky. Yeah, because Jamestown, that was mostly where all the actors stayed at when they would shoot movies, 20 plus years ago here. But no, I just think like that, just because that aspect, that would make it a fun one. Because I don't know if maybe other people have made that connection. I'm assuming obviously other people have, but maybe not enough. And I think kind of pointing out just little things, watching it along the way, and going, It's a really cool movie. I'm not going to say it's like maybe the greatest movie of all time, but I just think there's something really fun about 80s fantasy movies, and it's a kind of a genre that they have yet to do. I mean, obviously, we have fantasy movies. We got Lord of the Rings, we got Harry Potter and all that stuff like that, but it's not the same as that 80s style. And I think what makes that 80s style so unique, it's all the puppetry and all that stuff like that. And almost, I could see something in about 10 years or so, we could maybe start getting some movies that go back and they go, let's Quentin Tarantino this shit and not use any fucking CG or anything like that. It makes some really cool movies with all practical effects, because that would almost be the selling point of it is, hey, this movie's all real. Check this out.
I'm sure they'll probably get there eventually. I mean, we are at this point where people are really glamorizing 80s stuff. I mean, we already talked about, I think it was last week, on like a bunch of movies that were trying to be 80s. And even that show, Stranger Things, was just blatantly 80s.
Yeah,
I
Paper Girls, the comic book, and all that stuff.
I think that we'll probably get there with that. I mean, I think fantasy is just it's really weird. It's a very rare thing when fantasy does good and is received well. So I think that Lord of the Rings was kind of a fluke. Even the Hobbit movies decreasingly got worse and worse reviews as they came out. So
That's true. Yeah, it's like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings are
the
kind of
only
like the
yeah,
exceptions. Because really, everything else, I mean, look at Pan's Labyrinth. That kind of just came and went. That's almost like a lost movie
people liked
nowadays.
it.
That
It just wasn't. It was just more of a gym more than like
well, it was like critically acclaimed. It just didn't seem like as many people saw it,
because
and I probably due to the fact it's
yeah,
subtitled. But
subtitles. I always forget the subtitle movie because I but I don't know. But there's a thing about what was I saying regarding that Legend? I will say there's that part where when there's a part that was always weird to me where I guess there's a little elf boy, which is essentially I guess that's his Navi, who's telling him what to
yeah,
do.
see, that's the thing. There's a Navi in
But
there too. I forgot
there's a
about that
part
part.
where it's just like, here's what you got to do. I don't remember what he did. Like I think like he showed a girl a unicorn. But it's been so long since I've seen the movie, but he showed the girl a unicorn, which is supposed to see the unicorn. Then he gets all like, "You told her," kind of like fucking scary, and he looked all demonic for a minute, demonic because it was a kid, but it had like an adult voice, or like dubbed in or something, like some weird, like bizarre voice because it was like a kid playing like some like whimsical creature. And he's like, "You told her that is against the rules." But they're like, "But we won't go on this adventure with you because we are very bad." Like, okay, all right, Jesus fucking Christ. But
God, it's a unicorn. I thought it was pretty cool. I want to show it around.
look at that shit. It's a fucking stick sticking out of its head. It's fucked up, right? Right?
What if you got impaled on that?
Yeah. It's been so long. I don't remember what the fuck happens. There's like just they steal the
I know.
unicorn.
I pulled it down today because I was like, I want to watch that movie again. That's also got me thinking about
fucking
it too.
not Ganon Tim Curry kidnaps a unicorn because he's like, "Ooh, it's a unicorn. It's so pretty. I can kill it, and I want to make the world sad." And then he's like, "Ooh, this girl's so pure, the opposite of me. I want I want some of that." Then Tom Cruise comes out, da 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 da, and then like comes, isn't that what happens basically? And
Pretty much. That's. I mean, it's like it's literally you watch it. It's like I've watched it probably about 4 times in life, and every single time I go, fucking Legend of Zelda right here. And especially if you would have saw that movie right when it came out, and you would have like had fucking like your Legend of Zelda cart, fucking Legend on VHS.
it is
Legend
only
of Zelda
3
cart.
words off.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's got Legend in the title. I mean,
Stop that
like,
way. Like we're gonna get this. It's gonna be amazing. Like Ridley, the rights didn't go through. Delete, delete, delete. Okay, Legend. Just change that word.
Nintendo sent a message. Alien fucking sucked. Well, Alien fucking sucked? Who the fuck didn't like Alien?
Who? Raise your hand if you didn't like Alien. One guy in the
One guy, put your fucking hand down,
You
Bill.
fucking love Alien. Everyone loves Alien. Everyone fucking loves Alien. And they will continue to love Alien all the way till Alien 3. Alien 3 will come out in some years and people will love it.
It will be the best of the Alien series.
It will go down as everyone's favorite. I know it. But though, I'm thinking back. People are gonna say, "Ryan, you're a fucking idiot." But in Legend, I feel dumb for having to ask: is the bad guy Satan, or is that just some evil demon guy with horns? I feel dumb.
It's just some evil. I mean, I guess you could say it's Satan, but I think since it's going more off of a almost kind of a Celtic fantasy thing, it's going to be more some other kind of like demon monster. It's not
They
Satan.
say the Dark Lord and then his son. And I was like, is that Satan? And then like, I guess give him a pig nose. I mean, like they're just like, all right, erase the pig nose out of the concept art. She ain't a princess,
Yeah.
some chick living out in the woods. Because that is that point. I guess you could almost present it as this is the Legend of Zelda movie. Because that is the point where now it's like, Link's not in the green garbs. What the fuck? Where at that point it would be.
At that
We'd
point,
be so
that
happy.
wasn't even pre Super Mario Brothers. Like you could literally just call that movie Legend of Zelda and don't do anything else except for that, and maybe just have the names Ganon, Link, Zelda, and that's it.
What?
And just keep the movie identical as it is, and it would probably still work.
That's at the point where you can get away. I mean, this is before that point, but this is the point before you can get away. Like, this is the Street Fighter movie. Ryu and Ken don't wear their outfits. till the last 20 minutes of the movie, and it just so happened.
Also, aren't main characters.
Yeah, and you'd be like, well, I'll fucking take it. What else do I fucking got? And like Chung Lee's main outfit, not in the movie till the end. It's more like a slave Leia thing than their actual main outfit. So, it's one of those things where I think you would take.
Well, I do like Star Wars.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like the bad guy. Like, the bad guy would always get really rapey. Like, I want you to wear this. But it was like more of one of those things where it's just kind of like, it wasn't even like super sexy. It was more of just like, really? Because I'm Asian, you're going to make me wear this? Yeah. It's got that.
We can't wear the suit and tie. That'd be fucking weird.
It was a suit or tie or this. And come on.
Come on.
I'm the bad guy. Come on. Raw Julia here, bitch. No, but like I think that there was that point you probably could have got away with that. I could see them maybe you just took inspiration from it. It could also be because it is very much your standard fairy tale story, but it just happened to come out in the 80s, so I think it has a Zelda vibe. What I always thought would be kind of cool, somebody posted this on Facebook, like some fan art. It was like there's 3 different posters, one for each Triforce character. It was Hayao Miyazaki's Legend of Zelda.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
See, that would probably be the perfect choice. I know he's kind of retired and old. That would be the perfect person to make a Zelda movie and get it across. And as long as he did one really badass Zelda movie, and even if it was animated, it would be taken serious because it had his name attached to it. I think that's almost what you need. And yeah,
and it would get distribution because even people who don't like anime will go see a Miyazaki movie in theaters.
Well, that's because Miyazaki movies, they're like, the one thing about them is they breach between people that might go like fuck anime, fuck Pokemon, fuck Digimon, and fuck Dragon Ball Z. Like those people that are like that, they'll see something like Miyazaki, and for some reason that registers in their mind different. I mean, I know it is sort of like different. I mean, it's not necessarily the same, but they go. It's almost like this. Some people don't even realize that's anime. They think of it as, because especially like the one thing is like they'll see the Disney logo from like the U.S. distribution, and they'll assume it's a Disney movie. Which I guess it's good because it gets in their hands. It's bad because it's kind of like it's not a fucking Disney movie. Disney didn't do anything but buy the fucking DVD rights to sell it in the U.S. They didn't lay any hand on that animation.
I sort of see what you're saying, but at the same exact time, let's just be happy that someone's helping anime get to a movie theater and not get a Pokemon movie. Yeah. They got like a Jonas brother to voice a kid in the movie, but if we can just get past that, let's just be glad that more eyes are seeing the thing,
Exactly, and that's how I kind of like have to break it down at the end of the day and go, it's good that Disney has it because technically they can market it better than anybody else as far as it's going to go. But if Miyazaki makes it, or if Ridley Scott comes back and we just kind of convince him he's making a Legend 2, but he's really making Legend of Zelda.
Wasn't the thing like for years before he was even a filmmaker? He wanted them. So it's probably maybe he took some inspiration from Legend of Zelda, or maybe it's just kind of
because that movie would have been in production before it even came out to the U.S. So it would have been almost unknown.
It's probably more of a coincidence than anything else.
I think it's more of a coincidence that it happens to have a very similar story. And here's the thing too: unless you read like the book or anything like that on Zelda, maybe that wouldn't come across. Well, I don't know. Zelda has a pretty. Even if you play that game, you can still almost get that stuff out of.
It didn't really have at that point though. I feel like a lot of the mythology and a lot of the expanded stuff from Zelda and all the connections. Maybe I'm a total. Maybe another thing. People are like, Ryan, you're a fucking idiot. But like, I feel like a lot of that stuff was almost made by the fans. I feel like there was a handful of things like, okay, this connects to this connects to that. What's this? Another Zelda game. When's it take place? I don't fucking know. It's another Zelda game. Just fucking save the princess. Swipe your sword. Kill some shit. Fucking do it. I feel like after a while, they were listening to some of the fan theories. I'm like, oh shit, that's good. That's really fucking good. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, let's take a cue from that, and now we're gonna start piecing it all together. I feel like that's something that just kind of started off as whatever, and then as time went on, they adopted some of that like multiverse fan theory shit.
No, yeah, I could definitely see that there. And just kind of piece together.
I feel like that's where the Mario thing came from too. I mean, I don't even know how much I believe all the Mario shit, but yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. It'd be kind of cool if they made a Mario book that was like the Zelda one. But where it just kind of combined it all. Like, this is what the fucking legitimate world thing is. Because that Zelda book's one of the most badass ones out of all those, like, different Japanese ones they've released so far. But
There's the one theory that, like, after all of the, I think we talked about it briefly, but there's the one theory in for Mario where after all the adventures, he then says, like, you know what? We kind of made a truce with Bowser. That's how we have time to, like, play Olympics and go kart racing and all that shit. And then after that, like, he just says, like, he kind of yearned for going out exploring and having an adventure again. And that's where, like, Mario Land and all that comes into play. And then, like, Mario and Peach break up, and he hooks up with Daisy, and Luigi hooks up with Peach.
yeah, where everything starts to change. Yeah, no, there's all those kind of weird, interesting ways to kind of dial that all in. But
Which, I mean, that dude from Game Theory, that dude, he's smart and he looks into some shit, but I feel like it's almost like you look at something long enough, you'll find connections.
yeah,
But who knows? I mean, it's still, whether you believe that shit or not, it's still fun to listen to.
yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's kind of interesting just to go down those rabbit holes. Well, it's like the Legend combined with Legend of Zelda. Like, I watched that movie, and that's just kind of what I feel. It's like it's one of those ones like it's just got the same similar elements, and that's what makes that movie cool. So if you've never seen Legend before and you really like fucking Legend of Zelda, you should check it out. Now, don't get your hopes up so much you're going to see like a fucking Master Sword or something in there, but it's still got mostly all the other elements of what makes Zelda great. So it makes.
Well, I feel like Legend of Zelda at the time, now it's more of its own thing, but at the time, I feel like it was an interpretation of Celtic mythology and all that stuff. I mean, even the Master Sword resembles Sword in the Stone and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So, but I will say, I feel like just it's kind of funny to think about if Ridley Scott was totally so sure he was going to get the rights to the Legend of Zelda movie, and then he's writing along. He says, like, now how's this boy going to chase the triangle? It's not like the triangle's going to run away from him. How's he going to chase the triangle? He says, look, there's the pretty triangle. Like, we can make it a fucking horse. We could make it a horse. We could do that. Give it a stick, stick it up. Yeah, sticks. That works. That works. I like that. You know.
Oh look, can I pet the unicorn's horn? Yes,
well, it's
Ridley.
your movie, so it's your fucking movie.
You, be careful. It's just lightly glued on there. You know, fucking animal rights and shit.
Oh, this is so much nicer than the Xenomorph. You mean Paul, the guy in the suit? Yes, Paul.
That's not his real name, though. His name is Mr. Zini.
Fuck, how's this guy a film genius? I don't know. Just let him fucking pet you, Paul.
Yeah, but you know, you think this guy's bad. Look at his brother. His brother was out there petting the fucking airplanes. And he was talking to the jets. But he wouldn't talk to Tom or Val or anybody else.
Years later, he was petting the subway station for taking Pelham of 123.
And they're telling it's going to be all right. He's going to get an Academy Award for this. I really think you got it in you. I know there's been a lot of subways shot here before, but I think this is your chance that you'll finally get the award that you deserve. And that fuck John Travolta over there, look at him looking at you. He's trying to take all your glory.
This isn't about you. This isn't about Travolta. It's not about Denzel. It's about you. You.
You're not
whose name is it
anymore.
Whose name is in the title? Yours is. Taking of who? You. Pelham 123. You.
Ridley and Tony.
This is his.
Just love all the set designs more than the actual actors.
This is his mandatory. This is just his morning ritual. Just let him have it. We'll come out with gold by the end. Don't fucking question it. Just let him do his thing, and we'll call it a day. We're all getting paid regardless.
That's hilarious. Well, that's probably a good place to wrap it up with, or else we'll go on forever into dark, deep territory that could be fun, could be bad, who knows. Yeah. But do you want to do next week? Should we do Good, the Bad, and the Weird retrospect?
Let's do Good, Bad, the Weird retrospect. An amazing Korean action comedy western. It sounds weird when you say that, but last time I checked, it was on Netflix. Might not be anymore, but regardless, folks, look that movie up, rent it if you have to, or you can just buy it because it's pretty fucking awesome. I'm not gonna lie, it's someone who loves westerns. Probably somewhere in my top 10 favorite westerns, maybe top 5. I got to think about it, but definitely. I
would say
10.
about that. I'll let you know next week after I watch it again, and then that'll be fresh in my head. But yeah, check out The Good, the Bad, and the Weird. Watch it beforehand if you want, or not. Sometimes it's nice just to hear about a movie, and then that might get you interested in watching it. But yeah, Korean Western, that should be enough just to get you going.
Set in the 1930s.
Yeah, and to top it off, it's not like it's totally out there and weird like that Django, whatever that one was, the Japanese one, where it's kind of totally like a fantasy one. It's still a good movie, but it's more fantasy. Like this one is actually based off sort of like how it sort of was in that time period. There was sort of a Wild West in Korea in the 30s. That's what's kind of cool. I mean, not
in Manchuria. Wasn't Manchuria? Does the movie take place in Manchuria or?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Man, we'll watch it again. We'll tell you. So yeah.
Exactly. But yeah. Till then, check out oldmanorange.com. I'm Spencer Scott Holmes.
I'm Ryan Dunigan.
We will see you some other time.
Later, folks.
Thanks for listening to the Old Man Orange podcast. Check out our website at oldmanorange.com for even more podcasts, cartoons, videos, music, and more. Send us an email at oldmanorangepodcast@yahoo.com. Be sure to subscribe, share, rate, and review us on iTunes, Podomatic, or any of the other fine sites we might be located on. And if you want to help out even more, click on the Amazon or GameStop links on our webpage before you make any purchases there. It won't cost you a penny, but it sends us a little something our way. Thanks for listening, and tune in next week to Old Man Orange.